And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I am Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. I only say that to make Kyle laugh every single time.
Left turn right there at the beginning gets me every time. Sorry. You're in your spiel. I'm sorry.
Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games and amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but the most fun way we do it is sitting down with those designers to play that game, which is exactly what we're doing tonight. We are playing Down We Go, which is our house OSR system, but we are using the prep that Kyle did on Sunday night live here on stream with the new system agnostic bestiary resource / toolkit / one day I'll figure out a shorter way to say it. Monstrous.
So one day we will too.
Kyle, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit more about Monstrous.
Hi, my name is Kyle, and you may recognize my voice from Macro, the RPG art show on YouTube.com. Me and actually Kenny Webb, who is also here with us on the stream today, are working also with Sally and Amber from Cloud Curio to put together Monstrous, the stories behind the stat blocks. And what we are doing is we're creating this guide that is going to help you build your stories and your prep session notes and all of that good stuff around the monsters, as opposed to just getting all the stat blocks and combat abilities without really any guidance for like how you're supposed to kind of meaningfully fit that into your world building and connect it to your NPCs and really make it matter to like any kind of like ongoing story that you're telling. So yeah, that's what we're doing. It's really focusing on all the narrative, and we leave all the stat blocks and combat stuff to whatever system you already love running.
Awesome. The story behind the stats is a great tagline, by the way.
My brother came up with that one, so thanks, Jason.
It is very, very good. Already mentioned, Kenny, why don't you tell people a little bit more about yourself and your contributions to this great project?
Hello, I'm Kenny. I'm co-owner at Cloud Curio. I am the designer on Monstrous, which has been so much fun to work on. My tagline that wasn't used for good reason for Monstrous was remystifying monsters while demystifying the process.
It's good. It's a good explanation, but it's just not.
So
that is the thing you work into your copy. It's just not the tagline, right? It's what we really want to do is
you nailed it exactly.
No, I love it. I'm very excited to watch you and Kyle fight about all kinds of verbiage choices tonight during the adventure. I hope you interrupt him multiple times to say what I would have said is this, and it would have been much better. We lost somebody. We're gonna keep on going though. I'm gonna move JP back into frame. I bet you Elodie will be back in just 1 second. JP, I'm gonna slide you over. Oh nope, there we go. I'm not gonna slide you over. We're good. JP, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online?
My name is JP Kubert. I have a YouTube channel It's just my name, and I make videos about making stuff for RPGs.
And I heard you own skeletons now.
I do. Yeah.
How did you become the liege of the skeletons?
I asked Kyle what monster I should look at in Monstrous, and he said skeletons.
Awesome. And is that video up now already, or is it?
It will be up on Sunday.
On Sunday,
yes.
That content going to drop. So you're going to be the Lord in secret, or the Liege in secret until that time, and then you will reveal yourself to the rest of us. Excellent. And then a last minute addition, but who I'm super excited to have play with us. We've got Elodie. Elodie, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where folks can find your wonderful stuff online also too.
Yeah, my name is Elodie, or Into the Weird Blue Yonder. I'm at Weird Blue Yonder on all social media except for itch.io, which is where you can actually download my OSR content. And little games and art and all that good stuff, which is weird and blue for some reason.
Well, you know what? Why better than weird and colorless? Maybe, I don't know. That was weak, and I apologize to everybody. Whenever we play with different groups, and just as a general course of habit, because we think it's a good idea, we always use a set of safety tools here on the channel to make sure everybody's comfortable, make sure we all stay on the same page and our game stays on track. If the system doesn't recommend otherwise, we use lines, veils, the X card, and the open door policy. Lines and veils are things that might happen in the world that we play in, but we address them in a certain way in play. Lines are things that are off limits that cannot come up in play. We have a strong line against sexual violence and sexual coercion here on the stream. Veils are things that may come up in play, but they're handled within a specific context when they come up. So we might just mention them and move on, fade to black, move time forward, only approach a topic within a certain context. They're things that we handle with care. The X card is the ability for us at any point in time to pause the game by saying or typing X, identifying what the issue is that's making us uncomfortable or confused, remove that issue or clarify it, and then move forward in a different direction if needed, updating our lines and our veils. Does anybody have any additional lines or veils that they want to add? Or Kyle, is there any sort of weird stuff you're going to throw at us that we should be prepared for?
I generally like to run kind of like a dark fantasy horror adjacent game, but I will do so cackling and smiling and joking the whole way through. So even if the theme of the game seems a bit dismal on paper, it's done so in levity. And we are going to be dealing with kind of like themes of mountaintop isolation. So all the things you can imagine going wrong on a mountaintop are on the table for this.
Awesome. Does anybody have any additional lines or veils that they want to add to our conversation?
Don't think it'll come up, but staying away from cancer stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Got a
Sure.
veil in general for child harm.
All right. Cool. If other things come up, we have the X card also. We also have an open door policy, which means that you may see us need to get up, move around, eat, drink, do normal human things like normal human people, and take care of ourselves. Generally, that's a normal thing for normal people to do, and we're going to do it. So I hope you're okay with that. If you're a normal person or a normalish person at home, we invite you to take care of yourself also too, hopefully. Before I hand the reins over to Kyle and we dive in, a couple things we've got coming up tomorrow with Run DMG. We are playing Mystery on Big Rock Candy Mountain, a Karen adventure for 4 players. We're going to be playing that at noon tomorrow. And then also, if you have not signed up yet, RPG Zine Club is going to be launching soon. Man, I should have pulled up Kyle's quote that he gave me and just read that one as an endorsement because it would have been hilarious. And I forgot to. But if you want to get cool zines every month, support emerging and underrepresented creative voices, and be surprised and delighted by amazing zines, head over to rpgzine.club, find out more about what's going on there, and help support us and other creators with that. We're super excited about it. Be launching next week. With that said, Kyle, I'm going to hand things over to you to take us into our session.
Heck yeah. And just one more plug before the show. If you like what you're hearing, if you like this kind of more narrative take on monsters from the prep earlier and what you see come up in the game, head on over to bit.ly/monstrouskick and check us out there.
You didn't like my link? You like your link better? I see how it is.
Did you give the link?
I did give a link. There's also a link right under JP's face, and I pinned it in the chat. It's in the video description also too. But
sorry.
Look, there is like people are like, "Hey, I don't want to shill," and I'm like, "I wish you would." So I mean, please do.
Yeah. So yeah, here is the kind of the situation, and we'll kind of build this together as we go. We've already built all of our characters. It's a fairly rules light system, really wonderful, easy to onboard, and very flexible for all kinds of fantasy shenanigans that I'm looking forward to everybody coming up with. My preference as a GM is that you just say tell me what you're trying to do, instead of asking a bunch of questions, trying to find a foothold. I'm trying to work with you, not against you. I want you to do all the crazy stuff that you want to do. But if you want to jump off of if you want to jump off of a wagon onto the back of the giraffe and try to wrangle it under your power or whatever, that probably not going to come up, but who knows? Only the dice can say. Just tell me that whole thing. Don't say can I jump up on the wagon? Can I try to coax this giraffe over to me? Don't give me pieces of it. Give me everything that's going on in your head, and we can make it happen. So the next thing is, so you are on a caravan that is traveling in late autumn across the mountains, looking for seasonal work, and kind of vacating the town of Tenery and going to the big city of Canticle for the winter. You have all been hired to help out on this caravan by the old Ranger Regan, and is this he's getting a bit long in the tooth. He's getting a bit grizzled. This may indeed just be his last job before retiring from the whole rangering business. But he and his trusty mule, Old Steady, have been walking these mountain trails and leading caravans through for since Heck was a pup. And so you've all been hired to kind of work on this caravan as whatever it is that you're good at. So let's just kind of go around, and I'll call on you, and you can tell me what it is that you're doing on this caravan. I'm kicking that over to you, and then we'll play a short scene with one of the other NPCs, just between you and that NPC, and then we'll move on, just as a way of introducing everybody's character and also introducing the various colorful NPCs that I have expertly crafted for tonight's chicanery. So
before we do that, we do need to Pattern 147 just gifted 10 tier 1 subs to people on stream. So a lot of people just got tier 1 subs. Pattern, thank you intensely for your generosity and for supporting the community. We appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's you love to see it. A wonderful, generous, giving community like this. Can't say it surprises me that somebody so wonderful is hanging out in this stream, but you love to see it nonetheless. So yeah, let's start with JP. JP, what is your character known for doing well, and how have you found employment in this caravan for Ranger Regan?
So my character's name is Ham Duckfoot. I rolled randomly on Kyle's list of NPC names and got Ham Duckfoot. So he is Tony, would you say bloodthirsty is a class, or in Down We Go, or is it?
So roles are what the term is for each thing. Okay. Roles merge stat and class and abilities all into one kind of unified thing. So it could be a fighter, it could be a paladin, depending on how you flavor it. It could just be somebody who likes to kill people. All those things are valid.
Yeah, so based on what I rolled, Ham is probably really good at like chopping down trees, chopping things. He's good at chopping things.
So
Excellent.
probably in charge of like, keeping track of all the firewood for the camping at night and
Yeah.
all of that good stuff. All right. So I love it. All right. So let me just roll a little dice right here. Yeah. So you're kind of like you're getting to the point now in your travels where you're just about to pass the tree line and into the mountaintops, and there's all these like twisty cliffside ridge passes that you're going to be going on, so you need to really stock up. So you're out there in as the trees begin to thin out, you're grazing small twigs for kindling, you're looking for big logs, you're hacking down chopping things down to size and carting it back to the rest of the caravan in this brief pause before you really go on the rougher roads here. And you see one of the Hollandaise family here. It's a young couple, basically newlywed, getting ready to start their new life in the city. Hattie and Heathcliff Hollandaise, as the name of these. But you see Hattie, who has decided to be useful and just is clearly very nervous about this more dangerous part of the journey, and is helping you kind of pick up some of the smaller twigs and bind them together, and is just wants to be useful. But you spy as she reaches out for a twig that her wedding rings are missing. And she sees you clock that. She sees, and she immediately hides it up and says like, I'll take these back to the caravan, and trundles back and seems very shocked and ashamed that these jewels are missing. Okay, let's move on to Elodie. Elodie, who is your character and what do they do and how are they working for the caravan?
My character is a very scrawny little figure, completely enveloped by a black cloak that's hiding lots and lots of different bones. Anyone who's in the know knows that she's a member of a slightly notorious cult called the Sky Shepherds. So called because they shepherd people's souls to the next life in the skies. They have a lot.
Oh, that's so cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just getting excited. Go ahead.
So they have a lot of alpine monasteries, because that's where the earth meets the sky.
I love that. So are you then like sort of like kind of taking the lead on this kind of like finding your way through the mountains here, like choosing the best path at this time of year and all that? Like, what is it you're doing in the employ of Ranger Regan here?
I am navigating, but the way I navigate probably doesn't instill much confidence in onlookers, because I'm just constantly rolling the bones or doing pickup sticks or anything like that to divine where we have to go.
I love that. Yeah. And so I think you are now Ranger Regan has an awful lot of respect for the Sky Shepherds. And really kind of like will oftentimes defer to you, and you maybe have worked for him or made some kind of friendly acquaintance with him, but you notice that this season, this particular late autumn, that there's an uncertainty, there's a quiver in his voice, and you can hear at night from his tent. He seems to have these fitful dreams, and you hear him muttering things about the mountain beast. No, the mountain beast. No. And this is the little bit that's got you perhaps really anxious about every roll of the bone, every pickup of the stick. You're waiting for this, and you have no idea what he is talking about. There's no rumors. There's nothing in your days as a mountain shepherd which would lead you to believe that there is a mountain beast, but to each their own. This is the business of dreams and not fact, but it is still something that you have definitely noticed on this caravan that has kind of set your teeth on edge. Yes.
Sorry if I missed this. Did we hear Elodie's character's name?
Oh, no, I don't think we did.
I forgot to mention it. She's known as Sister Penitence.
Ooh.
Very much enjoy.
Thank you for reminding me there, Kenny. Heck yeah. Elodie, I saw your Sisters of Battle logo. That was when you turned your camera off, and as a big 40K fan, that's really cool. Kenny, tell us about your character and what their whole deal is.
Well, don't you know it's your old Uncle Hob?
Okay. What's Uncle Hob up to on this journey?
So Uncle Hob, his age is indeterminate. He may be as old as dirt, or he may have just endured too many hard winters. But he has the skin, kind of the texture of leather jerky, and he's bundled up in heaps of furs. He's an old prospector. Again, though, he calls himself your old uncle, an old prospector, but it's really uncertain how old he is. And he's still looking to strike it big. And I was trying to think what he might be doing for the caravan. He could be doing some scouting, I guess. He may be, I think he might just be kept around to find resources. He has a knack for stumbling onto just lucky finds, though it's never what he's really looking for. He's never hit it big. It's never riches.
So he's got a luck, but never for anything of monetary gain. But he always finds the rabbit warren. He knows where to put the traps, all that good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. All right. And let me just do a little bit of a roll right here. And I think old Uncle Hob, he heard some whispers after he already agreed. And old Uncle Hob, you got to know this about old Uncle Hob. He is a man of his word. And was put into a rather unfortunate position because after he shook on it that he would help out this caravan, he heard some disturbing rumors that Ranger Regan had lost one of the caravans this season from earlier in the fall. Or it wasn't early this fall. It was last year, maybe it was a year before that. But the guy's got a really good track record. But yeah, it seems like there are rumors abound. There's whispers. Nobody can pin down which caravan it was. But yeah, it seems like he lost one. And Tony, last but not least, please.
My character is Dread Vipmeyer.
You all have really brought the names, and I see that, and I love it.
Dread Vipmeyer is a young lad, tall, spindly underneath the robes of shadow, who bears the staff of death. None of these things have any sort of magical properties whatsoever, by the way. my every single thing in my I'm gonna read you every item in my inventory right now.
Oh, good.
He carries in a flask the draught of release and a pouch of the salt of bitterness, the ball bearings of emotional damage, and the reed pipes of metal, the rations of succulents, the med kit of hedonism, and a makeup kit that's a pretty nice one also too. And this Dread always refers to these things by their full name whenever using them, and mentions them all while introducing himself to anyone new. Dresses in a fairly opulent, pseudo-intellectual goth styling, and I literally, as long as you're okay with this pitch, is just hitching a ride, like paid to ride in the wagon, because did not want to do the work in any way, shape, or form. So they have mostly been divining wisdom inside of the caravan's wagon.
The sitcom in my head already of Dread and Sister Penitence is really funny.
Oh, because Sister Penitence is actually a badass that Dread desperately wants to present as 100%. I'm very excited about this.
I'm just writing down Mall Goth.
Yeah. And definitely is like, I am Dread Vibmere.
So I wanna, can I, if I may, Tony, can I put some spin on the ball?
Absolutely.
That maybe we could go like super classic with this, because I think it might just work out. That you were the lucky number 14 of this group. They just needed a person so there wouldn't be 13 passengers in this caravan. Right. So you were there just to set the Triskaidekaphobics at ease.
The only way this caravan can go is because of me. Like I'm the only reason this journey can even be undertaken.
I love it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Let's see what my bones tell me. Yeah, you're kind of like talking it up. You're puffing out your chest and strutting around like the big important member that you are one of these nights right before the next day you're going to go above the tree line and take on this dangerous road right here, but everybody's kind of kicking loose and trying to get rid of their nerves, and you see a card game that is being run. There's a couple of other individuals from the caravan in this card game, including the somewhat infamous card shark Dex Domino, who has a wicked laugh and a wide-brimmed hat, and makes no secret that he has stilettos strapped to his shins underneath his pants. And but one of these days you're walking around and he's almost 3 sheets to the wind, and he isn't playing his cards so close to the vest, and you manage to spy on the inside of his jacket. It looks like a secret pocket that's been sewn in there, and just a stray glint of moonlight bounces the luster of some kind of jewelry that's been secreted into this pouch that you managed to spy for in Dex Domino's.
I look up to the sky, and to no one in particular says, "The moonlight always reveals its secrets to me."
Beautiful. Okay, so let's begin in earnest. So yes, the day has come when you leave the tree line behind, and you make the most dangerous but shortest leg of the trip right here. The sky is a churning witch's brew of gray and black. As the caravan makes this arduous mountain trek from Tenery to Canticle, Ranger Regan takes the lead on the most dangerous leg of the trip. Dead Man's Drop is an uncomfortably narrow pathway along a mountain ridge that no one would dare take, except that it takes days off of an already excruciating trek. Suddenly, a boom of thunder echoes through the valley, and a chill wind tears through the caravan, nearly blowing the elderly ranger straight off his trusty mule. The oxen and pack horses shriek and whinny in terror as hailstones, the sizes of knuckle bones up to boot heels, rain down and pelt the caravan. The sinewy bovine pulling one of the supply carts is so startled that it slips on the old road, and the weight of the cart begins pushing the beast of burden closer and closer to the edge of the ridge with all of the supplies you'll need for this journey in tow. What do you do?
I mean, first I marvel at the insert of marketing the old roads in there also too. Like your OG release. That was really impressive. I look at the patterning of like you see inside, the cart. Like I lock the door to make sure no one else can get in here and crowd my space.
Okay, so you are just in some other wagon.
I'm in another. I am. I just see the hail is coming down, and you just see me reach out and lock the door, knowing that people are going to be seeking shelter soon.
I love it. Okay, JP, Kenny, Elodie, what are you all doing? You're unlike our 14th member of the party here. You're actually expected to do something.
Well, there's no way that Ham is going to let all of his hard work just tumble over the side of this cliff. I think maybe he would grab onto the tail of the. Was it a cat? What was that? An ox?
It was an ox.
Yeah. Like tug of war, this ox back onto the.
I love it. That sounds like a bloodthirsty roll to me. So now, Tony, remind me, am I saying the target number aloud, or am I just?
No, it is. I mean, it's literally up to the GM. There actually, I don't think is any specific guidance on that. Right. Usually it is the classic hidden number until everybody figures out exactly how the math works out.
Gotcha. All right. I have a number in my head, and I want you to add your bloodthirsty to a D20 roll and tell me what you got.
A D20. Okay. That is 11.
Ooh, okay. So you do kind of manage to just barely stabilize. You're slowing this, but the creaking of the cart wheels is still heard, and you're definitely going to need some help. But you kind of manage to stop this immediate tumble into Dead Man's Drop. Kenny, Elodie. It looks like, or I should say, Hob and Sister Penitence. Ham needs your help.
I have a thought, but I don't want to overjump somebody. I think Hob would pull out his trusty pickaxe, and he's going to hoot and holler, and he's going to strike the pickaxe against some stone to get some spark to maybe spook the ox back off
in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
All right, trying to be scarier than a hailstorm on a cliffside. I love it. That's
never met old Uncle Hob.
I apparently have not. I thought I knew old Uncle Hob, but I didn't know about this. Gosh, what would you call that?
If I was running, I might make this a luck roll. This is because I don't feel like this could be mystical. Because it could be an intelligent thing to do. It could be holy, it could be like a social interaction trying to influence the ox. But I would probably say this falls in the area of does this work or not, which is typically the luck. But you are also the GM, and we will follow whatever role you call.
It sounds like brute strength to me, so I'm going to ask for a bloodthirsty roll. Let's see what old Uncle Hobbs made out of.
He's made of a 20. No lie.
All right, this is excellent. Yeah, so this whole thing, this ox rears up and then turns mountainside and manages to lurch this whole thing forward. I think Ham manages to barely just like jump up onto the cart instead of being like pushed off into the cliffside, pushed off the cliffside into the valley below. So you have solved my ox cart puzzle. However, as our resident Sky Shepherd well knows, the thing that Sister Penitence feared the bones said would happen today. It was a slim chance, but a deadly one, that soon all of this hail gives way to white out, powdery snow, and you can barely see from one end of the caravan to the other, and you know you must make shelter in this sudden, unseasonable late autumn blizzard. Sister Penitence, I think it's up to you to try to find some kind of cave or lean-to or something on this mountain pass that perhaps even old Ranger Regan didn't know about.
Sister Penitence is just going to she's going to like open up her cloak, and you just see row upon row of bones with like various runes carved into them. So and she's just going to grab a bunch of bones, and she's going to throw them into the white yonder. And
sorry, I get excited. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'll mute myself if that's good. Keep going. Sorry.
And she's just going to listen for echoes to make sure that we're not about to careen off the path into the abyss below as we shoot forward and try desperately to find some shelter. She's pretty sure there's some shelter nearby. She's done this route hundreds of times before, but it's kind of hard to navigate.
I love it. I love it. So this sounds like a holy roll to me. Are you going to use do you have like a divination thing that you're going to use, or do you want to leave it up to the just the D20 roll?
So in the system, Elodie, just because I think it's your first time playing Down We Go, you get a limited number of automatic successes. So if you use divination right now, it will be successful, period. There's no fixture on that. And you can use divination again tomorrow, but you get one use of divination, I think because you have one level in it, per day for free.
And the stakes have never been higher. If we don't find a way, if we don't find shelter soon, we'll be blown off the mountain pass and down we go. Yes.
Well, I guess the decision's been made for me. She leaps up onto the top of the caravan with a confidence like you've never seen before. The wind tears away her cloak, and you see a mane of wispy white hair, and she says, "That way."
Yes, I love it. So how does this message of divination, is it just reading the bones? Is there a message in your mind? Like what is the divine experience like for the Sky Shepherds in dire situations like this?
The wind starts howling so aggressively that it actually produces what looks like a hurricane directly in front of us. And it creates a tunnel where there's no white, and you can see straight through onto the next section of the path, and there's just bones twirling around this tunnel.
Heck yeah! So yes, and sure enough, through the other end of this tunnel, glory be, fortune of fortunes, there does seem to be the mouth of a cave right there for you. And Ranger Regan slaps the ass of his mule and giddy up and leads everybody forward, seeing this as the only hope of survival. And as soon as the last wagon comes into the mouth of this cave, you hear this roar as all of this sudden hail and snow that's piled up further up the mountain covers you in, and all the lights suddenly go out, and you are safe, but you are avalanched into this cave. And Ranger Regan, his hands are shaking. He's seen a lot of things, but he's never seen anything like this. And he begins to mutter, it's like the mountain hates us. It's like it knows. No. And he just mutters as everybody checks to see if everything's all right. And it looks like everybody's got almost everything. From the mad scramble through this eye of the hurricane that our Sky Shepherd created to get us through this storm. And then when you do hear a wince in pain as Benjamin Bagger, who was just like this tall, boasting, deep-throated man who would or deep-voiced man who was always good for a laugh and always good for keeping spirits up, and he's bent over and he is clutching his leg awfully. There seems to be some terrible wound has befallen him on the mad scramble into this cave. I'm going to throw it back to you guys. What do you guys want to do? You can't see anything.
I open up the door. We hear just a creak in the darkness, and then like the slam of wood on wood. So good job. I'll be in here if you need the Dread Vipmeyer's assistance. Then you hear the door slam again.
And that, I think, is the echoing silence of no one needing the assistance of Ed Vipmeyer.
I'll say, yeah. I think Uncle Hob's going to produce I don't know what the alchemical version of this would, but alchemical flare from my pack.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And what is this? I imagine that this is like oscillating somewhere between the spectrum of like green and turquoise as this dim light is all that cuts through the pitch blackness in here. And yeah, you see this what was once a jovial bear of a man doubled over and nursing what seems like a terrible gash in his leg. And meanwhile, other people are milling about, kind of tending to things. Heathcliff is calming Hattie down, and Dex Domino is getting into some kind of argument with another passenger on this caravan, Gabby, who is this woman from the Stiltlands who has basically kept to herself this whole time. And yeah, Ranger Regan seems like he's having an episode of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think my first reaction after getting some light is to go over to Ranger Regan and say, "Oh, hey there, young fellow, we got it."
Don't sneak up on me like that. It's so good. We've been through a lot together on this. You can't just keep. It's just one more. It's all it's gonna take to put me over the edge. There, old Uncle Hob.
I'm sorry, there, Regan. We gotta take control of the situation here. We gotta make a head count. We gotta gather up rations. We gotta see what we got in here.
Yeah, he starts. He's like, you're right. My mule made it. Old Steady is doing good. And somebody messaging me? No. Okay. All right. Okay. Tony's messaging me. He starts doing a head count, and it's like, let's see, there's me, there's Benjamin, there's Gabby, there's Hattie Heathcliff, there's Dex, there's Ham, there's you, and there is oh no, I think, well, and then there's of course Dread is he's in his fixes as usual. We're 3-4 short. We must have lost some. They must be trapped out there. What are we gonna do? We can't let anyone know. We have to find them. We have to go around a search and rescue.
Calm down. Let's just take stock what we have in here, and then we can prepare to go rescue
with some sort of percussion instrument, as Sister Penitence is just going around the walls, tapping them with bones and singing off into the distance, trying to basically gauge the thickness of the walls. See if there's any other caverns, perhaps secret caverns.
Ooh. Yeah, that sounds like a holy roll to me. So I think you've already used your divination, and well done with that. But yeah, let's see. Let's see what your bones have to say about your character's bones.
That's a 9 plus my holy, which I think is 1. So not great.
Sure. So that's a total of 10, though, right? Yeah. I think you don't find any secret passages. You don't find like the wall doesn't immediately give way to like a secret magical hot springs or anything quite so good as that. But you can tell from the echoes and the way that the air moves in here, even with the door plugged in by all the hail and snow. You can tell that there's definitely, you can't see it, you know for sure that there are other passages and other chambers in this cave system, but it is impossible to tell exactly how extensive these further catacombs reach. Ham, what are we up to?
I think Ham would be. It was Benjamin that hurt his leg, right?
Yes, Benjamin Bagger.
Maybe grab some of the wood that I've split. It was saved, and try and splint his wound or something like that. I don't know that Ham would necessarily know how to do that, but
yeah, I mean, this sounds like either holy or mystical or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say that you can certainly offer some kind of care.
Okay. It was a 19.
Oh, dang. Yeah. So yeah, you get out you know how to set a broken leg. I mean, a forester of your caliber has had to deal with this, maybe even triage your own wounds once or twice, though you'd never tell anyone about it sober. And you get in there, and it seems like it might be a busted femur. It's like about as bad as it can get. So you start constructing this splint, and you tear off and you tear off this guy's pant leg, and he's trying to put on a brave face, but he's sweating bullets even in the cold of this wintry cave. He's sweating bullets, and he's got these dark rings under his eyes, and he's just like, old Benji really stepped in it this time. Oh my. I could have sworn that something reached out of that maelstrom and grabbed me, and I tried to pull myself away, and by the time I made it to safety, well, you see. And as you're as you're dressing this wound, you manage to fix it up real good, but you see these. If you didn't know any better, there's no other name for it though. It can't be, but it's there, right there in the turquoise light of this alchemical flare. It's these fingerprints that wrap around, elongated. It's like somebody took someone's hand and stretched it out like it was made out of uncooked dough and then wrapped it around old Benji's leg to yank it loose and fracture it. And as skilled as in medicinal practices as you seem to be on this particular role, there's nothing you can do to remove what looks like this elongated hand of frostbite that has touched this leg. Dread, are you interested?
Is anyone going to do anything about the chill in here? It is getting increasingly uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think at that Ranger Regan snaps to and immediately starts building a fire, and he sets about it, and yeah, the merciful orange golden light of this fire brings a touch of homeliness to your dire situation.
Finally, and I push. I knock someone over. If you want to roll to see who it is in the emerging light, I'm happy to see who I knock over.
Oh, real quick, can I swear on this stream?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. God damn, Benji says as you knock aside the man with a broken femur.
Wait, I love that you were like, "Can I swear?" And then your swear was "goddamn," which is excellent. It's an excellent swear. Don't get me wrong. I'm used to just immediately like F-bombs getting dropped like in that situation.
Oh sure, yeah.
It was delightful. Who did I accidentally knock over? I'm sorry.
I can cuss a swear, Tony. I can cuss a mean swear. Don't you doubt me.
Sorry, I gotta go change the rating of this stream from G to PG. Who did I knock over almost?
You knocked over the wounded man. Dread. I
don't notice at all.
No.
He's like getting back up as I push past. It is like watching a small child furiously scurry to the fire. And then as soon as I get close and I realize I am in light, I slow down and draw myself up a little bit taller. It essentially look like I am trying to pose in the light to let it capture the height of my features in just the perfect way, flickering against the light behind me, casting a long shadow into the darkness.
Really putting a lot of mustard on doing absolutely nothing.
I was going to say excellent shadow conditions right
now.
Yeah,
lots of shadows. Look, my character can do one thing, two different ways, very, very well. And we don't want me doing any of those things right now.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. But yeah, as it seems like as this kind of warm presence of the campfire seems to bring a spark of hope into your dire straits here, that's when you hear someone the telltale noise of someone getting belted right in the teeth. And
yes.
Because Dex and Gabby are having a hung down, drug out fist fight in the middle of this thing. Tensions are running high, and Gabby spits out an incisor and looks up from the ground as Dex just points at her accusingly and says, like, "You dirty Stiltlander, where'd you put it? Where'd you put the meat? It's all gone. Where'd you put it?" And it looks like this card shark is about to tear this traveler just like apart in all the panic of the situation.
Whoa! Easy! I come in there with my pickaxe with the heft of it, and I'm like trying to separate them, and then at the same time, I think I'm gonna be pointing at the hollandaises if they're in
Mhm.
here. Are they in here? I guess.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I say, head to the wagon. Let's get those rations out where everybody can see them.
Sure. Yeah. They are. Yeah. They look over and he's just like, I swear, I saw her doing something in that wagon right beforehand. I think she's been sneaking rations more than her share this whole time. We can't have that. But he storms off and kind of like goes in that direction. And Gabby kind of picks herself off the cave floor, and there's a nod of approval that she gives you. She has this thick straw coat on.
I just pointed out, I was like, what's he on about?
She just kind of she doesn't say a word. She just like nods at you and then looks over at Dex and just stares daggers at him and spits a wad of blood clot out of her mouth and kind of like pulls back her cloak and reaches in and then nods, shakes her head real quick and then pulls her hand back. And everybody is looking at all of this. Everybody's kind of looking through the supplies at this point and laying it all out. And yeah, sure enough, it looks like there's a whole barrel of salted pork. Like that was supposed to last you a good portion of this journey. That's just like up and gone. There's no trace of it. There's no fragments of it. It didn't fall out anywhere. It's just missing.
The barrel itself is gone.
The barrel itself is just gone.
Well, even if somebody were stealing some of that sweet salty pork, they wouldn't eat the whole barrel, surely.
I agree. I sit over by the fire as I pull out my ration of succulents, which is a giant honey encrusted pork flank, and just take a bite of it.
Ranger Regan stares at you and says, "Did you bring enough for everyone?" Or
and I chew slowly and I look him in the eye and I say, "No."
That's gotta go. That's gotta go in the middle, son.
Okay.
We're all in this
I
together
take another
now.
bite. in the middle of what?
so all the rations and everything. They're making an inventory.
Oh no,
so
I know
like
what they're
everybody's-
doing. This is 100%, and so does my character. This is 100% his in-character adversarial nature.
It's what my character would do.
It's what my
is what
character
you're
would
saying.
do.
Okay, so
Look, I'm trying to
here's-
play into the themes that you're obviously establishing over the course of play.
Well, here's a good check-in though, role play wise, because I think what my character would do at this point would be like to walk up and again with that wooden half, maybe tap you on the chest and be like, "Everything in the middle, son." But I don't want to do any.
Oh no, that's fine. Like I'm 100% okay with character to character aggression. Down we go.
Kyle
Characters,
okay with
especially
this?
mine, are not hardy, so try not to actually damage me. But
yeah,
if you
no.
do, that's okay. Just kill me in the middle of everything. It'll be great.
Also
There's a ton
asking
of other
Kyle.
NPCs I can become.
If Kyle, if this is,
It makes sense in this situation, but yeah, let's. I want to see how this plays out.
that's what I do. I do like a little tap and.
As you like go to tap, you can probably very easily tell the puffed up chest is 100% like an artificial fixture. Like this robe is designed to make me look slightly bigger than I am. Like you can tell that I am incredibly skinny underneath the voluminous nature of my robes.
There's a little bit too much give when I tap.
a little bit too much give. It's evident. And I say,
And so yeah, twinkle in my eye, and I sort of I gesture towards the pile of rations.
I look at
supplies.
you, I look at the meat, I take one more bite, and then I throw it near enough to the center to make it look like I was trying, but it's obvious like I let it hit the dirt on purpose.
Oh,
Wow. I'll head over there, wrap it up, put it in a box.
you love to see it. You love to see it. So yeah, and Ranger Regan at this point is just like, I don't know I think we should. At this point, we need to take stock of our situation and decide what we need to do. It's I don't want to go outside again, but we need to dig out there and go looking for the folk that went missing. But we're in bad shape here, and I don't like being stuck in this cave. I mean, it's better than the storm for sure, but we don't know how far these caves go. We don't know what else is in here, and I've been. I just think we should send some folk, deeper into the caverns to scout it out and make sure that it's safe. And I'll stay here with the wounded and with the normal folk here. But I think it's time for the four of you to earn your keep.
That's it. That's all he does.
Oh yeah, I've got pickaxe hoisted. I'm ready to go.
Sister
All right.
Penitence would nod in agreement and say, "Yes, the bones tell me there is much more to these caverns than currently meets the eye."
That is the creepiest thing you could say right now. I love it. How does Ham Duckfoot respond to this call to action?
Well, to more than meets the eye, I think Ham is excited to, and maybe even the fingerprints on the on Benjamin's leg. I think Ham might be getting a little riled up, ready to do some chopping. You know what
I love it. Oh, all right. Yeah. This is looking good. So yeah, I think the four of you now need to kind of like you have all the supplies of the caravan in front of you, sans the rations. You won't need that for a scouting party, one would hope. But anything that you feel like you would need, light sources wise, or like simple weapons or tools that you would need, just go ahead and write it down on your character sheets. And what is the marching order? And remind me, Tony, I don't believe that there's like is there initiative in this?
There is. It's whenever initiative matters, it's you roll a d6 on a 4, 5, 6. The party goes first, and they decide what order they operate in. And then if it's a 1, 2, 3, the adversaries or the action that's not them goes first, and you decide the order of operations for that.
Perfect. I don't know why I asked that. It probably won't come up, but I just wanted to be clear on that.
Just to make sure. This is a combat-free session.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
So yeah, we're just gonna do a bunch of skill checks and go home. But yeah, what's the marching order? What's the plan of attack here for exploring this cave? Is anyone taking the lead? Is anyone taking a particular approach to this? How might we characterize our efforts to go deeper into these caves that have heretofore been unexplored?
I go over and I heartily examine and very intentionally look through all of the different torches there. Then I pick one up with unnecessary intention, hold it to the sky and say, the light that shines in the darkness. And then I light the torch.
Whoa.
I'll stand in the middle to make sure that everybody can see by torchlight.
So cool. So brave.
So dread.
I think Ham would charge forward.
I love it.
Axe at the ready. And if Dread has the torch, maybe I don't need it.
Sure. I love it. Two-handing it. Who's next? After Ham.
I think I would put Sister Penitence towards the middle, as you have the bones that have guided us to safety. I think I'll carry up the rear.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you come up with your marching order, and you do indeed at the back of the cavern opposite this front opposite. Yeah, the back is opposite of the front. That's how language works, my friends.
Caves.
I hope you're keeping notes, because there's a lot I'm dropping on you in this session. But you set up your marching order, and you get in, and you do find this slim catacomb or not corridor that kind of you kind of have to shimmy through, and it seems like all of Uncle Hobbs' fur coat isn't going to quite squeeze through, but then one more push, and he does make it through this, and it opens up into this large chamber that's so massive and echoing you can't even make out the other side of it with your torchlight. And you smell something. I think Uncle Hob probably makes it out first, but it's this musty smell. There's something alive in here. There's something that lives here nearby that you can detect it. It's just like there's as big as this place is, it must have, and sure enough, you who's leading the way? Ham Duckfoot sticks his duck foot straight into a pile of leavings that's maybe about like yay high, maybe the size of I don't know, a litter box or a box fan. What are the other things I'm looking at in my room?
Slightly bigger than a bread box.
Yeah, it's bigger than a bread box. It's a healthy turd is what you're looking at here. Yeah, absolutely.
And I just go, I actually imagine Ham Duckfoot being pretty short.
Mm-hmm.
So
up to his chest.
I'm stepping right in this thing. Like up to the waist.
I don't know up to your waist, but it's maybe like the better part of your shin is covered in this stuff, and there's a kind of like there's some crunches. There seems to be like some small bones mixed in here, and like you could make out some seeds in the torchlight and stuff like that. It's just whatever this thing is, it seems like it eats anything.
Well, shit.
Yes, I can tell. I've been down to inspect the scatological remains. Can we tell what type of creature this is from the leavings?
It seems like an omnivore. I don't know how often Dread gets outside.
Not a lot, but I get a lot of samples, stool samples brought to me for different arcane purposes.
Sure. So
this is a special interest, we might say.
Yeah. I think as your imagination forms around all of the various clues that you've picked up about poop over the years, it almost in answer to your imaginings is this echoing, this bear roar as you hear just like giant footfall and then more of them, and it's several bears come charging straight at you in the torchlight. I think we need to roll for initiative. So do I roll a d6 for that, or
so all rolls typically are player facing? However, if you just really want to roll a bone, this is a fine one for you to roll.
That's okay. No, that's all right. You all roll d6, I guess. One person roll a d6.
One person rolls a d6 for the party. Anybody want to call it? Ham, Kenny, you got it?
Yeah, Ham's taking lead on this one. So Ham, why don't you roll a d6? Tell us what you get.
That's a big old one.
That's a big old one.
Yeah, Kenny, why don't you roll instead?
We're going with it right here. So yeah, there's just these two hairless bears come charging towards you in the torchlight. One of them just like slashes with its great mighty forearm there, forceps. Yeah, we'll just start using insect words to talk about
it's
bears.
pincer.
Yeah, it's
And it
the
tries to
crab
put you in
claws of
its
the great cave
mandibles.
bear. Yeah. So I think you need to roll to save for this one. Which it's I guess explain your defense on this and what are you doing to
so
counteract
melee
this?
attacks generally defense is always your defense roll, which is a d20 plus your any levels in sneaky you have to dodge out of the way.
There we go. Okay, thank you, Tony.
I think I would just hold my axe up and try and take a step back and you block with my axe.
I love it. So give me a sneaky roll then.
That's a 5.
Ooh,
And you're rolling a d20, right?
Yeah.
If you have any armor, and you should theoretically know whether you have like light, medium, or heavy armor on. Those are the only real classifications that matter.
Okay.
You can use it to re-roll once per so like light armor lets you get 1 reroll, heavy lets you get, medium lets you get 2, heavy lets you get 3 rerolls per dungeon, but your armor gets torn up as you do that.
I mean, I guess I imagine I would have armor.
And armor can mean a lot of things. Like my cloak of shadows is just light armor. Like it doesn't really.
Yeah. I mean, for sure would have a if we're like dealing with snow and stuff, I would for sure have a cloak at least.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So do you just mark that off instead of taking damage then?
Yep. And your cloak has become so it lets you re-roll. So like it still may not work. You can choose to trigger it or not. You can just take the hit. Or you can say, oh no, like I want to re-roll and it's going to hit your armor either way, but it may still hurt you as well.
I think I'm going to take the hit.
Okay.
I'm going to see what this cave bear is made of.
You take 2 damage.
Okay.
I should not get hit by one of those.
Yeah, and it just like it hurts like the Dickens. This thing, it knocks the wind out of you, and also some ounces of blood as well as this big, these claws kind of like take this gash out of your torso as it knocks you across the cave, opening up the attack from the second bear to attack our brave light bearer. So
you mean the guy holding the alchemical light in the back, right?
No. I mean the only person waving the torch around.
I can't imagine. Ugh.
Come on, Dread.
16.
Oh, that seems high enough to me.
I have a number in mind. 16 seems pretty good, though.
Yeah. That's certainly high enough. So it seems like this guy's not all talk. It seems like Dread it actually manages How do you avoid this blow here, Dread?
I become shadow.
The light source, it seems enveloped in shadow only momentarily, only to return.
Oh no, that's just this thing I say as I trip backwards out of the way of the paw.
Wonderful. All right,
the shadows.
It's y'all's turn. You have two angry hairless cave bears right upon you. You can act amongst yourselves in any order. Come up with any kind of plan. This one is up to you guys.
I'm going to just use a use of missile and send a bolt of kind of moonlight out of my swirls around my hand, and then one shoots over to each of these hairless bears, dealing each one of them 1 damage.
I love it. Okay. And they stagger backwards and seem they're very startled by this. It's just like they've never witnessed anything in their entire bear lives. They've never been struck with this arcane energy before. They're dazed and confused and injured. Who's next? Well, don't go all at once.
All right. It's time for Ham to scratch back. He's gonna yell as loud as he possibly, as loud of a bear yell from this small duck-footed man into these echoing caves, and he's going to rage
Ooh.
Yes.
and attack twice with his axe.
Does that do a damage? Does that do 2 damage to 1 or 1 damage to?
It just
to
says
the
do
bear?
2 attacks, but I draw a free attack from the closest
So
enemy.
you're gonna roll for both. So the ability happens automatically. You still roll
Gotcha.
those 2 attacks. You're gonna roll
Okay,
2d20, and those are gonna be your and add any bloodthirsty you have.
Okay. So 13 for one and 22 for the second one.
Holy.
Those both hit. Surprisingly enough. So and is that against the same bear?
Yeah, the one that scratched me.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, how do you completely eviscerate this bear that attacked you? Like, you're going into like this fugue state of axie violence. What does this look like?
It looks as though I'm chopping down a tree. Only it's a bear.
It's like the practiced form of a lumberjack of years, and yes, you can almost hear it. It's all the more violent for its absence. Timber! As this great bear rears up on its on its hind legs, looking like it's about to do the death drop, but then it creaks back with this huge gash into its torso and falls over dead on the spot. You solved my first bear puzzle, but you have opened yourself to an attack from the second bear. Please roll, I guess, a sneaky in defense.
16.
And you seem to be hopped up in a rare rage for a man of your stature, and managed to dive roll out of the way just in time. I believe we still have yet to hear from old Hob and Sister Penitence. What will you do with our bear? It looks like it's rearing its teeth and slobbering, and its eyes seem to spark in the torchlight with rage. It's you or him.
Sister, what do you think?
Sister Penitence is going to raise a bone flute slowly to her lips, play a dirge, and then a needle is going to shoot out towards the bear.
So good.
It's a musical bone blowgun. That rules. Yeah, okay. That I guess that sounds like sneaky to me, but it could be bloodthirsty, I guess. Whatever feels more appropriate, whatever you have the highest in there, Elodie.
I don't think I have any bloodthirsty, so I'll take the that's a 12.
12 total?
Yeah.
Beautiful. That is just enough. Yeah, this dart sinks straight into one of its ocular sensors, poking out of its hairless face, and it immediately starts trying to claw this projectile out of its face. It looks like it's beginning to doubt its own fervor for blood at this point. But strangest thing, Sister Penitence, as you reach for the blowgun flute right where you always keep it, you notice that your hand passes over something that's never where it belongs. Such a thing never belongs in your cloak. It never goes there. That's not where it goes. There is this hunk of salted pork that has been mixed in with your belongings, and you manage to brush it aside and do your grim business and stay on task, but you cannot think of how it got there. But we'll leave you to ponder that as we turn instead to old Uncle Hob. What is there to do, old Uncle Hob?
I mean, what else is there to do but lift your trusty pickaxe to the cavern roof and sink it all the way down into the skull of a bear.
I guess give me a bloodthirsty roll. That sounds like a bloodthirsty roll to me.
17.
Ooh, that definitely hits. Yes, and so yeah, what does it look like as you use this equipment strong enough to bust up rocks to dig into this hairless bear here?
I think it's sort of writhing around, pawing at that dart, and I think it's like you see old Uncle Hobbs' arms, and he's like shaky as he's like lifting up and aiming the strike, and then once he has it, it's just like a one fluid practiced motion down, and
oh yeah, with the calm practiced blow of our prospecting friend, our final ravenous cave bear is no more. And in the quiet of it seems like the twisting passageway, the thin passageway that you used to enter this chamber was swallowed up. The screams of excitement and the roars from the bear. No one's rushing to your aid. No one shouts in concern, and you are left to ponder your fate as you see in the torchlight a Hansel and Gretel-esque trail of salted pork leading further back into this cavern.
Further, like deeper into the cavern?
Yes,
Okay.
from the direction the bears came in, actually.
Okay, yeah.
these are pig bears.
Big bears.
I guess y'all aren't without merit after all.
I was
Did
going to
you-
say it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, you actually did something pretty cool and avoided damage.
It's the one thing I rolled
Yeah.
the 2 damage spells. The wizards, it's like the only thing I'm good at is
Heck
killing
yeah.
things.
Love it.
You did your job fabulously.
I know. Thank you.
No, that was pretty good, old carnivore. Are these your porks as well that you were gnawing on earlier?
I've never seen that rancid crap meat in my life. And by
it
crap
has-
meat, I mean some of it's gotten in crap. I don't know if you're going to
Yeah.
brush that off also.
So
But
it
good luck
has
with
gotten
that.
in the crap, but also like as Dredd says that, you're like, yeah, there's something wrong with this meat. And even Sister Penitence, maybe you don't show the fact that you are carrying some of this, but you can definitely make it out as you kind of do a closer inspection. And even the ones on this on the ground, they have these blisters of these elongated fingerprints all along them. It's like they've been pinched by these things that have this just these, they must be enormous spidery fingers, and they seem to put freezer burn upon these meats as they were carried through and placed where they lie.
Placed, you say.
Well, that's what it appears to be. I mean, I'm no Hercule Poirot. I'm just calling it like I sees it.
I'm no meat trailologist.
So what do you do?
Watch your step there.
Well, I guess my survivalist brain is wondering: is this meat that's been placed on the ground? Is it safe to consume, or could it be made safe to consume? Because if it is, I want to be saving this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps you could cut away the offending bits from it. It seems like, yeah, I mean, none the worse for wear. A quick rinse in some water, maybe boil it, whatever. But it seems okay, unless, of course, it's cursed.
Yeah, there's always that. All right, we'll eat the cursed meat last.
Sister Penitence, what do you think? What do you think of this meat? Would you trust it? Would the Sky Shepherds suggest consuming meat that has been tampered with in this way?
I think that is a question for the Sky Shepherd directly. Sister Penitent is going to pick up the nearest piece of salted pork on the floor and cut away a strip with a suspiciously familiar looking incisor that she grabs out of her pocket, and she's going to eat a piece and see what happens.
So good. Oh my god, everything you just said, Elodie, is just like my favorite stuff about these games. So thank you so much. But yeah. So as you kind of chomp down on this, you just like, you can tell there's nothing off with the flavor. It's not like it's gone rancid or anything. But it's you can tell immediately, perhaps with your heightened spiritual senses, that the only word, it's not exactly cursed. It's not going to do you any harm, but there's something about this meat that is now empty. It will not fill your belly. It will not give you energy. It's just there. It is just this flavored, textured thing that you can chew and swallow, but it won't make a difference.
A never-ending story. Empty carbs, exactly. Evil DM Josh.
They turned into rice crackers. The foulest magic of them all.
Are you going to be okay? I switched to grizzled old veteran voice. Can you continue on, Ham?
Ham maybe like wraps himself up and gives his chest a little pound, and I don't think Ham is too excited about this trail of pork. It doesn't sound good for a guy named Ham to be following this, but nonetheless, let's continue on. Let's trudge
A
into
bad
the
omen
darkness
for sure.
Perhaps ham is what is for dinner after all.
If we
So,
go
yeah,
into the
are you
next
guys-
room and it's a bunch of piles of duck meat, then we'll really
Then
know that
we'll know.
Yeah.
It's a larder full of ham and duck's feet, and that's I don't know what to, I don't,
It's just the way the game works. I don't know.
It really spooked me. I was just like, for sure, you found a way to hack my account and find my notes. How did you know? I just, of course. But as you continue into these caverns, you hear the crackle of a campfire and catch the scents of boiling sweet meats on the air. And sure enough, you can see the flickering of firelight around the bend in yet another chamber that you find in this cave. You haven't yet entered into it. You cannot see it, but you can see that there is some kind of campfire light and cookery going on in this chamber beyond. What do you do?
Clarifying question about the previous room and this new area.
Not allowed. Next.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Are they like excavated chambers, or are they like cavernous?
They are all natural rock. All of this has been cleared by millions of years of erosion and repurposed by hairless bears and whatever lies in the chamber beyond.
Got it.
It's been a long week, guys. I'm sorry.
This is great.
Everything I wanted. Yeah, I mean, I keep every time Ham stops, I gently encourage Ham forward by tripping into their back a little bit.
Are you doing the Midwestern? Oh.
No, I
grim
sound
dark version?
exacerbated every single time it happens. Like this is Ham's fault, not my fault for stopping and being cautious.
I love it. Yeah, who's going to lead the scouting party? Who's going to lead the scouting party for the scouting party?
I don't mind putting a hand on Ham's shoulder and like sort of nodding at the injury that he's nursing, and I'll walk forward and do a little peek around and see what I can see.
Give me a sneak roll. This sounds like a real sneaky thing you're doing.
I'm a little sneaky when I want to be. 17 again.
I all right. From now on, digital dice. I don't trust any of you.
Well, here's the thing, Kyle. I play in another one of your games, and I'll tell you when I
know
fumbling the dice.
You know me. I'm just giving you the tease. But yeah, you see this bizarre sight before you as you peer into this next. The moonlight cuts a beam through a skylight, a thin skylight in the top of this cavern, and it seems to shine down exactly upon this campfire where there's a cauldron of stewing sweetmeats bubbling away, and there are boxes and bedrolls, and even it looks like a wagon that looks like it must have been made by the same wagoner that made some of the ones that are in your own caravan. And scattered around the campfire, huddled together for warmth, are these emaciated bodies that are just two of them. There's it looks like two people huddling together for warmth, and there are three of such of these pairs of people that are clutching each other face to face for warmth in front of this campfire. They move not. They don't seem to notice your presence. It is like, if you didn't know any better, the first thing that comes to mind to describe them are some kind of mummified remains.
Do they have very long fingers?
Well, you're not there, so
yeah.
Nice.
It's hard to see. It's hard to see that far away. They're silhouetted in the moonlight, and they're clutching each other. So you'd have to get closer to see if they have elongated fingers or not, JP.
I am happy to. I can report back what I've found, but I'm happy to creep further in.
Sure. Well, I mean, we
excellent
can let it
idea.
ride.
Excellent idea.
We can let it ride, but I'll say this: does anybody else want to, now that you've gotten the report back from Uncle Hob about the situation, does anybody want to go with him, or are you trusting that old Uncle Hob got this one? What do we think about this one, everyone?
Come on.
I will use the staff of death to cover you from back here, Uncle Hobbs.
Watch where you aim that thing, son.
I think like I'll stand ready to run in if you need help. You
never
just
sound
shout.
more ready in your life, JP. That was so confident.
Just shout and I'll be there.
I'll be at the ready.
Just not Ham has duck feet. He's not the best at sneaking. Okay, that's all. That's all I'm saying.
Sister Penitence, are you going to go with Uncle Hob, or are you going to let him continuing his scouting alone, which he is perfectly willing to do? He has made that clear.
The sky giveth, but the sky also taketh. Nothing can be done for these people. but perhaps we should explore further what caused this tragedy.
I love it. Okay, so are you going with old Uncle Hob then? Okay, that's what I took. I wanted to make that clear. Okay, so as you both kind of creep forward, you do see that in fact maybe it's just the extreme emaciation, the emaciated state of these, but their fingers seem unnaturally long, and. Oh, sorry. I thought you were pointing to say something there, Ken.
No, you can't see where I'm pointing, but that was like good call, Ham.
Okay. The joys of virtual gaming.
Yeah, exactly.
And you do hear like the pop of a knuckle as these hands begin to like untwine and unfurl, and all of these bodies begin to not raise up on their hands and feet, but do this mangled slow motion crab crawl as they rise up, almost like with 4 arms and 4 legs between them, these mummified bodies frozen together like these human spiders, and they are twitching to life. It seems like they have noticed that you are there, but you have perhaps a moment to attempt to do something else. I will say that probably the Sky Shepherds know that many strange things happen in these mountains, but you have never heard of something so vile and sinister as this. So I am now asking if Sister Penitence or old Uncle Hob have anything they would like to do about the situation at hand before we who knows for sure where this will go, roll for initiative again.
Sister Penitence is going to quietly raise her flute to her lips and then melt back into the shadows, as if she was never there.
I love it. So you're like, I'm out.
Are you triggering the hide ability also? Is that what you're doing? Awesome.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
So these are it's like a frozen mummified ice amalgam thing.
Yes.
I think that what I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting out the other the bundle of flares that I have, and I'm thinking about if I need to tossing it into the campfire to cause a little explosion action next to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to scare it or engulf it in flames, or I'm just really panicking now.
Well, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but these all sound like interesting ideas to me, your humble GM.
I'm reaching into my pack and getting it out and taking careful steps, getting the fire in between me and this thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, and sure enough, as you reach in for this extra flare, you also see one of these salted pork chops that are mixed in with your things with these finger blisters on them, and oh boy, it seems like they sure match exactly the handprint that these creatures would have. So if you're tossing it, I guess
if nobody's doing it, I'm just throwing it.
All right, I guess that's a sneaky roll or bloodthirsty or something like that. Whatever sounds good to you.
Exactly what you always want to hear from your GM is whatever. Just roll it and tell me.
Roll a dice. We haven't rolled in a while.
That's a 5.
That's
and that
5.
is on a D20.
Ooh, yes.
My bit.
Stamping on your bed. So yeah, you take out the only thing that can fight back against this bitter cold that you feel in this unholy chamber. You take out your alchemical fire and you toss it into the campfire, hoping that there's going to be some reaction, some explosion, but instead, plunk, sizzle, you send it straight into the stew pot, where it fizzles out immediately. And all of these creatures have now raised up, and I think it's time for initiative again.
Oh, I ruined the stew.
You already blew that 5. I'll roll this one. That is a 5 actually on a d6.
Oh no, that's good. That's good.
That's a good one. 4, 5, 6 are good for us. So
That's good.
So we go first. Does anybody have a thing they want to do at this moment?
I've blown it already. I wish I had blown it.
I am the space itself, 3 human frozen spider people, melting pot of sweetmeats and alchemical flares, a fire going, and then there is a caravan in here also that looks surprisingly similar to ours. Is that what we decided?
Yes.
Excellent. So, but on this side there is some sort of exterior moonlight coming in, correct?
There's a skylight.
There's a skylight, but I mean, moonlight is coming down through it. We'd established.
Yes, there is moonlight, definitely.
Where is the moonlight lighting? Like, is the moonlight lighting up where the fire is?
The
also?
campfire area.
Okay.
It's almost like stage lighting. It's perfect.
Okay. I know a few things about alchemical flares, and I know a few things about sweet meats. And I'm a master of the mystical arts. And I am going to cast Pain Bolt at the iron pot with the alchemical flares inside of it, in an attempt to reignite the alchemical properties all at once, causing a massive eruption. So I would like to use
the bot roll. You're trying to save the bot roll.
Yeah,
with
I would like to. Well, I'm building on it, right? I would like to use a use of Pain Bolt, which will automatically hit. But what I would like, I think a roll is still appropriate to see if I can cause the chain reaction that I desire to cause. Unless you as the GM just want to let it roll. Either way.
No, I that sounds like a cool idea. It's yeah, let's do it. Just give me. I guess that's a mystical roll or something.
This roll is going to be 15 to see if I can make a big boom. So 2 stars appear above my hand and then shoot out, intersecting through the moonlight past these folks into the fire, hitting this iron cauldron in the middle, and intercepting into the boiling sweetmeat alchemical substance flare blend goo inside, to do whatever the GM then says.
Yeah. I think this skull, it kind of like the intense heat and moisture of these boiling sweetmeats exploded by magic's activated alchemical fire and scalding iron tears through all of these creatures, and they scatter away, terribly damaged in the explosion, but also scatter away from the moonlight into the darkest corners of the cavern. But yes, you hear all of them the whisper of a gasp of pain. And that would take us to the next person in the initiative, whoever wishes to volunteer next to attack the darkness.
Like we all do.
Can we still see them? Or are they?
They're in dark corners, so someone with a light source of some kind is going to have to move further into the cavern to illuminate where these creatures are. But there's a beam of moonlight, and I believe Dread is still holding a torch, and those are our 2 light sources. The alchemical fire probably burns and simmers, but that's around the moonlight, not really illuminating the rest of the cavern.
Okay. So I think I've tossed my flares. I think then I get out my sifting pan for minerals and such. I want to run to the middle where that moonbeam's coming down and use it to like shine the light around like a spotlight to see if I can see these things and illuminate them for my friends.
I like it. Yeah. As you kind of like sweep around, you definitely kind of like get a sense of where they all are. So yeah, I will just say that you are in a great position to allow Ham and Sister Penitence to attack. Although it should be said that Sister Penitence is hidden themselves. So yes, this is. Now it's up to the two of you to decide how to proceed in this combat encounter.
Well, if Uncle Hobbs, shines a light on one of them, Ham's running in with his axe.
Yeah.
He's
doing what Ham
seen
does.
what these things can do.
Yeah.
So.
And are they're still connected to each other?
Yes, there are pairs of people that have formed this kind of like
I just want to make sure
spidery amalgam.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love it.
So another thing I'm curious about.
I'm looking forward to the fan art you're going to draw for this. It seems like it worked really well on your
JP's style is just screams this.
So Ranger Regan said that we were missing some people. Right?
So yeah, there were some people in the caravan that didn't make it into the cave safely, it seems. But these desiccated bodies are in a far state of this couldn't be.
There's also that the rumor we heard that there was some older caravan of his lost some time ago.
Right. But we can't be. When was that? Was that earlier this season? Was that a couple of years ago? I mean, it's just rumors, and it seems unfair to heap such rumors upon an old friend like Ranger Regan. Oh, Uncle Hob, how could you?
I would never.
So are you going to attack?
Time to chop.
It's a great conversation. I chopped them.
Yes. Okay. 11.
11 does it, and yeah, you hack this thing to you hack one of these things to bits. It's in bad shape because of the explosion already, and this thing is just like the last of these like gas as it sputters out its final unholy breath, and it seems to find some rest in this cavern. Finally, after years and years of what may have been torment, it is still again. And that brings us to Sister Penitence.
Sorry.
Oh,
my other ability is called Cleave, and it allows me to have an extra attack when I kill an enemy.
well, okay. Why didn't you just power game your way through my cool monsters? Go for it.
Can
I'll
Uncle
let you
Hob,
attack him.
Oh yeah. I'm
Old Hobbs got you. He's in exactly the spot he needs to be to help you out.
This isn't the first time Hobbs has had to bend moonlight with his pan to highlight horrible monsters in the darkness.
Check this out, Dread. And bending the moonlight.
Okay, that's a 12.
That's another 12. Yeah. You hack this last this one to bits, but yeah, there's still one that it's like in all the excitement in these two things. There's this last one seems to be harder to pin down, but there was one in the cavern, and I think Sister Penitence can barely, with senses that perhaps only the Sky Shepherds can summon, even in the darkest corners of the cavern, you can make out where this final beast waits to spring upon you on the next phase of initiative, unless you can stop it.
you just hear another dirge from the shadows, and out shoots a needle into another shadow, which hopefully has this last creature in it. Oh, yep, that's a 20. All up.
Sorry if I'm yelling too much. I cannot contain myself.
The best part is, and this happens, like somebody one time was like, they were doing a really intentional noise, but you have the same thing that they had, which is you have a limiter set on your microphone. So if you go too loud, it just, so they were like trying to do this really impressive noise every single time, and they would just clip out every single time they did it. And the rest of us were dying. We're dying. And they thought it was because like they sounded funny. We're like, no, it's because you sound like nothing to the rest of us. So when you get really loud, it just clips out totally.
Fantastic. That's good for all of our friends wearing earphones out there. So yeah, what does this look like? Are you putting some special Sky Shepherd blessing on this final dart to send this infernal creature to its long-awaited rest? What does this look like?
I think it's probably going to catch it in the leg, and then the thing is just going to like double over, crawling out of the shadows, and it's accidentally going to pin its arm to its leg as it's crawling, and it's just going to fall flat on its face, writhing around in agony. Like lots of body horror as you people look on at this cluster of mummified bodies just writhing around.
Excellent. Yeah, and then finally, with one last knuckly pop, the final fingers of these things finally curl up, and it moves no more. I actually think we could do like a denouement and all this kind of stuff, but I kind of want to respect people's time and include some discussion at this, and I think that's kind of a great place to roll credits while the energy's still high, and kind of like open this up for the rest of our talk here.
And then we'll do a post-credit scene after that discussion.
What was that, Elodie?
Oh, while the dirge is crescendoing and it's fading to black.
Beautiful. Yes. This is okay. So yeah, I think, and that's a scene, and let's have a smooth and elegant transition to another completely different conversation about this game now.
It's time for our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game that we just played and talked about what it was like to play that game. Today, we're not so much talking about the game we played so much as the themes, the monsters, and the way that it was prepared. That's because it was used preparing the Monstrous system agnostic bestiary toolkit resource, which helps you get to the story behind the stats. It's live right now over on Kickstarter at ttrpg.link/monstrouschaos. That link is pinned in the chat and in the description of this video if you are watching later. Also, we've got two members of the creative team here with us, one of whom banished JP to the nether regions, never to be seen again. But we just finished playing Kyle. For folks who are just joining us, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and tell us what your role in Monstrous was, and then we'll have Kenny do the same.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Kyle. I run a YouTube channel called MapCrow, and I am the illustrator and creative director of Monstrous, the stories behind the stat blocks, which, that was we used what we're calling a core abilities worksheet for a type of monster that we're calling the mob. And that is a kind of monster, sort of like goblins and kobolds. But our spin on this is that mobs are these like coagulated fears that these communities are going to have. That their fears are animated or possibly like reanimate other victims in the community. So they could be ghosts, they could be goblins, they could be ghosts and goblins, like the old arcade game. So just working through that blank worksheet that we have for that, I invented this mummified spider corpse that died on the mountaintop for today's session this evening.
I love it. If you want to go watch that prep, I should have linked that video also. I'll probably go back and update it so the video is linked down below if you're watching this later on YouTube. But we did that prep last Sunday, so you can watch Kyle kind of talk through this with me and chat as we were getting ready. Kenny, you're also a team member on this project. Go ahead and tell us who you are and what you're doing for Monstrous.
Hi, I'm Kenny. I am the designer. I am the writer of words in Monstrous for the most part. And yeah, I think Kyle did a great job encapsulating what mobs are. I don't know. I really just want to respond to Kyle's stuff that he made for this because it's so good.
Can I ask you a real quick question though?
Yeah, of course.
Did you think that this was a mob when we were playing through it? Were you like, oh, this is totally what that thing is?
There was the thing that made me go, it's a mob is the stolen meat. And the planted meat, because the big thing with the mobs is the spreading fear and paranoia. So they're born of fear, they spread fear, and then they multiply when there's more fear running around. So when that started happening, I was like, okay, we're in mob territory now. It was so good. I loved the details, like the extra details. I don't know what other people thought. To me, the description of the doughy fingers wrapping around, leaving freezer burn. So good.
Yes,
So visceral.
yes.
I want to kiss it.
I want to kiss it.
I love it. Yeah, let's loop around, meet our other folks, and let's hear a little bit about their thoughts. We'll come back and chat a little bit more. And if y'all have questions for us, you can ask us also too. Elodie, you got to join us and fairly last minute. You woke up this morning and I was like, hey, we need another player for this. And you were available. I always am excited to sit down with you, but tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, and also what it was like to play a game built using Monstrous.
Well, first off, if I had woken up when my alarm went off, I would have missed this. Lucky I woke up earlier. And yeah, I think I mentioned before, did I just do like illustration, little tiny supplements in games and stuff. Weird Blue Yonder on socials. And the thing that stood out to me most today was not necessarily related to Monstrous, but I absolutely love your GMing style. I love how into it you were getting, doing the cheesy voices, but they're so great.
Thank you. And right back at you, Elodie. I can't believe I can't believe we almost didn't have you on the stream today. Like, I'm glad that the fates conspire to have you here. You added so much extra sauce to this. Like, really go like I was always excited when your turn came around because I'm like, I'm gonna learn something new about this cool character. Is this a character that you've played before, or are you drawing upon like some ideas from your zines, or is this all just like right off the dome?
Off the whatever
sorry,
you
right,
just said.
off the top of your head.
Off the top of my wheat bix. I'm from Australia, guys.
That's a throwback from before the stream when we were explaining the term soup to nuts.
And I tried to explain. I learned how to talk by listening to old time radio tapes from Cracker Barrel. That's why I'm a little idiom heavy, and I apologize for my international.
Makes so much sense.
But yeah, I'll echo that. Like, I knew a super enjoyable part of this I knew would be sitting down and having UGM, and I in no way, shape, or form was disappointed. There are numerous moments where I was like, if this was if we regularly had you on to GM, anytime, by the way, if we regularly had you on to GM, I would have a Kyle cam where I could just switch to your face being most of the screen for moments, even when you're not. It's always enjoyable. And so it was great. Elodie, did you have any questions about Monstrous or about the session that you wanted to ask Kyle or Kenny.
Yeah, I guess what's the process for, like, because you said that mobs are like Kenny's or your or Kyle's someone's take on kobolds and etc. And by the time you brought them to the stage, they were unrecognizable. So what is the I guess process for, love the body horror, by the way, always love body horror. What was the process from, I guess, entry in the book to entry in the game?
So luckily, a lot of that. So we actually recorded at the beginning of the week my prep session for taking notes for this and just using Monstrous and going through that. But I will just say, like, straight up, just going through and like, so Kenny has taken a lot of like my creative vision for this is to make monsters mythical. Is like they aren't like these biological like little weirdos. They are mythical little weirdos, and they're based around these fears. So just like the idea is that almost all folktale monsters come from some kind of strong metaphor, usually of like warning against like going into the forest or something like that. Like they are fears made manifest. And so going off of that, Kenny wrote this beautiful entry, and it has got poems in it and everything. But it leads me step by step to just go like, what is the fear that this thing is based on, and what are the clues that it leaves, and what is the kind of escalation, and then like, what is the NPC that is kind of like stoking these fears or benefiting from these fears, and using that as a springboard, I kind of decided that one of the members of the caravan, in a longer game I would have made more of this, but one of the members of the caravan is the one who actually like waylaid a bunch of caravanners to pilfer their bodies after they froze up in the mountains like a couple of years ago, and pinned it on poor old Ranger Reagan. So all of that just comes through a very naturally, like going through filling in this Mad Libs style series of blanks on this worksheet that Kenny did. So it kicks ass. Like I'm not just saying that because I financially benefit from this book, but it's just like this Monstrous is my favorite book that I've ever seen, and I'm happy to get it into people's hands because I think it's going to really help people generate brand new monsters instead of and also trot out some of the old classics with a new take on it. But yeah, Kenny, anything to add to kind of like how you kind of like took some of my mad ramblings and turned them into actual like prep methodology?
I think one of the leading thoughts with Monstrous is that different monsters should tell different stories. That was a really good starting point for the different types of monsters. And combining that with the idea that these monsters we've seen over and over again that need some life into them. So this whole class of, I remember when Kyle was talking about goblins and kobolds and gremlins and imps, and it's like they all feel kind of the same. They're just little mischievous little imps,
low hit points, low AC. You see them in large numbers and you can wipe them out on low level adventures. Yeah. So
what's the story there exactly? And we liked the idea of a little problem growing out of control. And that eventually took us to fear building up in a community, fear building up and out of control. So then it became a process of, okay, looking at each type of these monsters and what type of fear are they bubbling out of control with. So as a little preview for our take on goblins that will be in Monstrous, they're going to be a fear of young people, old people's fear of young people getting out of hand. So goblins are the manifestation of young people running rampant and vandalizing and taking over a town. So it's just a fun twist on an old archetype, but two, it actually gives you a story that you can tell in the game.
And Kenny, when you say that, just to clarify, like there's the worksheet, but then you all basically have like 3 examples of what this could, 3 types of mobs that you could basically pull from the book and inject in if it makes sense in your game, or the worksheet to be able to work through to create something bespoke.
Totally. And it's good to point out that those forms are ready to pluck and put into a game, or just serve as like a good model of how to do it. And for pretty much all of them, we have classic monsters with our own twist and our own like fresh new monster, never been seen before, using that same worksheet to show you how you could go in a completely new direction. And I think actually Kyle's monster that you made for tonight is a great example of something not just out of the box, something very custom made.
Yeah, I love it. We got a question from the chat, and this is, I know it's a little bit antithetical, but I think it serves a good exploration of practically how to do this. The question is from Evil DM Josh, and that was, how long did it take you to assign stats to the monster after creating it? So we did the prep last week, right? You've never done Down We Go. It's got a super intensive stat block for a game, right? A total of 5 entries, most of which are narrative. Tell us a little bit about like the translation for you into the system and just what that looked like to say, hey, it's a mob. Here's what we know about it. Like, what did you do to actually give it gameable function?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, and it's for people who have run Powered by the Apocalypse games before. It's even though Down We Go is definitely like an OSR game. It felt the fact that the players are rolling things means, and they are the ones saving everything. I just have to know my monster and say what they do, and I know basically like there's 3 different levels for what kinds, how hard they are to hit, how many hits they can, or how many hits they can take, and then how much damage they can do. So I did that like basically on the fly. I picked the stats of the bears, and I picked the stats of these creatures on the fly, just to kind of, because I knew when I wanted the session to wrap up, essentially. Like I was just like, okay, normally I would have juiced it up a little bit more to keep the encounter going, but that felt about right for this session.
Yeah. And just so anybody who doesn't know, like it's basically like name, but though Kyle and I talked about this, like these creatures don't essentially have a name unless you have thought of one in your head. Like we didn't assign them a name during the prep. So there is a difficulty, so that's the number you've got to roll over to avoid damage or hit them. Their health points, like their hit points, and then how much damage they do, which I'm gonna bet was 1 and 1 for those 2 things for a mob probably. Did they have a special? Did these things do a thing? Did they have a special or a tactic?
This one, it was more about the atmosphere. It was more about the vibes. Like they were doing things. I mostly was thinking about what are they doing to the setting? What are they doing to the story? What are they doing to the NPCs? But if they would have gotten their turn, they would have, and they emptied the meat, and that kind of stuff. So they probably would have done something very similar to you. If anybody would have tried to heal, the guy who got his leg broken, you would have found that your healing magic didn't work. So stuff like that. So I think of flavorful stuff, but also if like for an OSR game, like I think it's okay just to slug it out sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
But we haven't actually heard from JP yet. We haven't.
Oh no, I was around. That was just a chat. Chad had tossed it in as part of that. I got everybody. We're good.
I'm
a professional.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Tony. Please don't kick me off.
In stream. JP, tell us who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play a game prepared with Monstrous.
My name is JP Couvert. I have a YouTube channel, same name. I make videos about making stuff for RPGs, and I make monthly adventures and guidebooks on Patreon. And this is a blast. I did get a sneak peek at the Monstrous book and read through everything. So the whole time I was kind of trying to like reverse engineer how, like what, and Kenny, when you said, you know, like don't forget the rumor about the old the previous caravan or whatever is like, oh yeah, that kind of unlocks the whole thing. And you can start to see how the monsters like aren't just, you know, I mean, we did fight big hairless bears that were just living in a cave, and that's cool. But then these other monsters, like there's more going on, and it's like affecting the world, and just trying to like figure out how they like fit in, because I know that's a big part of the book is like hearing or figuring out how like your world reacts to the monster, not just how the monster exists in the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, we would find out if we were to follow up this with a campaign. I think you might have some ideas of what happened to those 4 people who went missing.
Yes, right. Yeah, that's where my head was going.
I was like, oh, do you like, are these already the was a good question to be asking. Like, did something quickly happen to them?
Yeah.
But yeah, they are in the process of the curse that befell this, and really like you would have had to figure out who was responsible for like causing this in the first place, and then things would have escalated again as that NPC's fear of discovery would have changed the nature of the mob that was attacking you.
Right. Awesome.
So it's like the fear of isolation gives way to the fear of discovery. We're
gonna make Kyle narrate a cutscene at the end of this to close us out.
I was gonna say, in my head, like the clearest thing that was like set to happen next, I was just like, when we get back to this camp that we've left in control of all these yahoos, who knows what mayhem has gone on since we've been gone?
Oh, like savagery. Yeah.
Right. What is left when we get back here?
We've got One Sleepy Beetle in the chat wants to know, what was the process like collaborating with the team to create Monstrous?
Awful.
There we go.
What is our process, Kenny? Kenny, what is our process? I want to hear you say what your experience is, because you're too polite to me, I think. So let's hear it.
I don't know that I am all that polite. So yeah, I actually today on Cloud Curio's site, thecloudcurio.com, we put one of our first Making Monstrous blog posts where I talk about the origins of the project. And in particular, it's right when I was getting to know Kyle, and Kyle was saying, hey, I'm thinking about making this YouTube series of mine, building better monsters into a book. And I watched the videos and really loved them. And it was just such a fun challenge of trying to take these big, great ideas and turn them into something practical and useful. And I think that's the thing that Kyle often says when he's looking at my work. It's like he'll read the form that I made based off a monster and say, this is so useful, like surprised whenever it comes out that way.
It's astonishing to me because, like, I mean, what he is talking about is like a 10-minute ramble about my dumb opinions about old D&D monsters, and he turns it into something that like can make anything. It's so good. Sorry, I'm a big fan of your work, Kenny.
Yeah, I think there's like, it's like for me, it's a fun challenge. It's a puzzle of like translating something that when I watch the videos, I'm just like nodding and I'm like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it should be that way. But then turning that into something that is a process that somebody else could follow and get their own fun, creative, novel results from. So yeah, it's like a weird translation process from my side. And then the remaining part of that is our editor, Sally, then looking at what Kyle and I have made and saying, okay, now everyone else needs to understand what this says. I
Yeah,
don't
just
know what
because
this
I'm
means.
like, this is useful doesn't mean that other human beings that haven't like grown up on a steady diet of like a Dark Souls lore videos will be able to understand anything. So Sally is instrumental to the team and was like, but what are like people that aren't used to specifically going to make of this, and that's kind of the rest of that process there.
And I will say something, having I mean, if Sally exists, because Sally and I live in, as I said in chat earlier, Quantadelphia with each other, where we both live in the same city, but she's literally the only person of the team I have never met, either in person or digitally. So, but Sally has never met me either, so we don't know that each other exist.
I've never seen the two of you in the same place, actually.
Well, let's keep on going. But no, the Cloud Curio team, one of the things I love, y'all are literally all fans of each other. Like, it comes through, I think, in the work. Like, everybody has the areas they own. Everybody pitches in to support each other. Like, everybody has their areas of control. And it's really great when a team is able to function like that. And it is really beautiful to watch y'all exist in that space. And I think it's a huge win for that.
Yeah. Good departments, and also like good interest in each other's work too, and like having like everybody like has their toes in everything, but like also has their very clear area of expertise.
Mm-hmm. And I've had lots of collaborations, especially back from when I was drawing comics. Like, I've had lots of collaborations that I've really, really enjoyed. But Cloud Curio is on a whole different level. And I've never worked with this many people before and have it go this smoothly. Because it's like, I think everybody is like, it's because in some cases you get teams of people that's just like, well, I'm doing this thing, but I really wish that I was doing more like creative stuff and writing and things, but I'm only on layout but it's just like everybody is really like very satisfied and is not covetous of like other positions on the project, at least so far. That seems to be the case.
Yeah. I heard Kenny's trying to draw the next Monstrous edition. That's the real plan.
Kyle's authentically trying to get me to draw stuff, so
I love it.
Kenny's a good drawer.
Yeah. Awesome. JP, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Kenny or Kyle?
No, I mean, I'm honestly really excited to go back and watch the prep video stream of this, just to see how you did it, and then I'm excited to see more of the forms. I want to see like your takes on the cores. Is that what you call them? The core monsters?
Yeah. So the cores are like the big categories, and then the forms are like our filled out version of each of the core worksheets.
Yeah, because I've already like gone through and had fun playing with a few of my own ideas. And then like seeing a few examples of what you've made are like, so it's very cool to see how different, like you can take the one worksheet and see how different you can make the things, the monsters.
It's so true. Amber and I actually made a video that she'll be posting elsewhere where she was using our core to make her own form of a dragon. And she wound up making a gourmand dragon who has a deep pride in its taste in foods. And that's what its horde is all based around, is like exquisite ingredients. And I was like, I would never have done that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Does that thing spew hot oil? Is that what it, because I hope so.
That is a great direction. I'll let Amber went in a different direction for that.
I can't wait to find out.
I can't wait to see it.
If you're watching, you have more questions, please keep them in. I had a blast. I originally was going to be the coach and the quarterbacks here tonight, and ended up on stream playing also too. I was super excited to, but it's also always interesting when you got to sit there for part of the prep. I will say, as somebody who was in conversation
you were there
with
me, I was talking to you.
Like, yeah, we were in conversation during the prep. I still loved the subtle I mean, like, one, the incarnation, just like Elodie talked about, like your presence, the prose that you wrote to go through, as well as just your excitement and enthusiasm in the moment, like all captivating and all wonderful on their own. But even like we didn't talk about at any point. Did you mention like two bodies fused together, right? Like that was an evolution of them. Like, you know, we had talked about a number of different things, and I loved seeing and still being very surprised, even having gone through the prep, with the way that you were describing them and the way that they were interacting. And even like we casually threw out, of course there's a bear fight because it's in the cave. What is in the cave? It's a bear. But even like it's a hairless bear. Like that's such a small thing, but like that's not what you expect. Like you expect to go and there's a bear in there, and why are these bears hair? Like we don't know, right? But those small details are great to just see. And yeah, you know, this is easy to spin up into a campaign. And I will say, like, I said it on stream the other day, like, I am always the kind of person who I can create systems, I can create contents for systems. I can sit down and run an adventure from nothing. I can write that adventure down afterwards. Every time I've sat down to write an adventure, it's gone nowhere. And sitting down with Monstrous as a designer made it really easy to be like, oh, I love themes and I love unpacking themes, right? And like for me, like JP went to like, are these the people? I went to like, does the moonlight matter? Like, are these things in some way, shape, or form connected? Like when you walk into the room, there's different things that you're going to ask based on what you know some of the themes that have been laid down so far are. And you left enough threads that you could easily pick up on where the players wanted to go or develop the theme in a number of different ways, which I think is a testament both, again, to your skill, but also to what this sets up as far as you know, motif engagement goes, right? From a swords without master, or a sword without masters. Which one is it? I can never remember.
Swords plural without masters singular.
There we go.
That's by Epidiah Ravachol in Worlds Without Master issue 3.
Yeah.
Sorry. Got to do the full plug.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing, like motif, that's where I discovered motif building. I have another friend who makes heavy use of it. And we collaborated in my first game ever, Beards and Beyond, to create a motif generation thing that somebody once described as inspiration, but it works and it's fun. But this type of monster generation immediately creates an adventure, whether it's for OSR, emergent narrative, that immediately has things that you as a GM can start pulling at on it, because there's those rich thematic elements that you've already named in, and you've already named, here are the things that we're going to be doing. And it becomes this very natural evolution to, once we know what those things are and we know what those themes are, we just pick a location, and that location is the thing they're doing those things in. And you have all of a sudden an adventure, which is the first time I was ever like, oh, that's like, I can do that. Like I do, like that makes sense to me in a way that no other type of adventure creation ever has. So as a designer and as a GM, like it was such a great thing to just see something that made sense to me all of a sudden. Probably because I'm a weirdo like y'all, but I think there's a lot of other weirdos like y'all in the space also too. But I think my question goes just to that, like, were you evolving that during play, or did, like, how much time did you put after the initial prep? Like, you know, we've talked about the other day, like if people ask me how much I prep, I'm like, how much time do I sit down and write stuff down? Maybe 15 minutes. How much time do I think about the games I play? Way too much. Like how much more thinking did you do to get to the final version after we sat down, or was it just what was happening in play kind of feeding it?
All said and done, it's probably 2 hours of prep, which I would have done less for a regular game, but this was going to be streamed, you know, and I was just like, okay, I got to write some box text then. So I wanted to come up. It's just like, if this isn't a caravan, I need the caravan to have named NPCs in it. And if this turns into a situation where people have to find out who caused this in the first place, who caused this calamity in the first place, I needed it to not be obvious. Everybody had secrets. There's stuff going on with everyone. And for also, it's like, it's if you guys seize upon one of those, I feel free to kind of like say, yeah, that's the one, you got it. But also just kind of like that all that fits on a single Google slide. I like to keep notes in a Google slide so I can move around the boxes of text and kind of like optimize it for like a quick sheet. I copied and pasted the monsters stat stuff from Down We Go and pasted it in there. And then I just had one more slide, and I took about a half hour before the stream to write down like, okay, how do we go from the rumors over, and I had a rumor table, how do we go from the rumors to like, okay, and now you start at the dungeon, essentially.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, I was originally going to be an ass and be like, I stay behind. And I was like, oh no, he's just telling us here's where the dungeon crawl starts. You players go and get in the dungeon. No, like I said, I had a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And have been a big fan of this project for months. I'm so excited it's live right now. I do want to turn things around for y'all. And if other people have more questions, toss them out. Like this was y'all's first, you have been doing this for a while, but this is your first public time to get to run both parts. Do y'all have questions for us about our experience, anything else like that? I mean, feel free to turn it around as well, or for each other. Kenny, do you have questions for Kyle? What was it like for you to play a game prepared with Monstrous? I don't want to leave you out as a player.
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. So
Kyle on the spot.
I think, yeah. So is this your first time running a monster made by Monstrous for a group?
I think so. But also it's like, it's really closely, like a lot of it is, there's so much me in Monstrous, even though you're the one doing all the hard work.
That it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like, it's like I designed a thing that my brain could just like take to. So this is the first time, not the first monster I've made with Monstrous, but it was the first time I ran an adventure from it. And it's those forms are made to generate the kinds of things that I would take notes on with a monster anyway. So
I guess here's a good question retrospectively in the prep side of things. Was there anything in the process of making the monster that surprised you?
I mean, it's like, even though I said it on the stream, you can see this moment of surprise when we get to the end where we're looking at like the what happens for each stage of this fear as it kind of moves through. It gives you a 3-act structure. Right. And it's just like, the last question with these 3 little blanks wrote basically the whole adventure. And I was just like, this is so good. So it's just like, it's so wonderful how elegant and useful it is. And even though I've read it before and I've approved it and we've talked about it in detail, it's still shocking how wonderful this thing is to use for me.
That's the perfect answer. Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome, Kenny.
Everybody, by the way, if you're a designer out there, or if you are a GM, or if you're a player who writes character backstories or does, like, you should be this in love with anything that you make. Like, everyone should be this excited about things that they make. And if you're not, you should find people who are around you until you can be this excited about the stuff that you're making. Awesome. Kyle, do you have anything? You flip it around? You want to ask any of us anything?
I guess, okay, it's I guess a sensitive GM. I felt like to fit everything into one session, because like I have been running a 1-session game of this mystery I wrote for Blade Runner with Kenny and Sally that is now reached its 3rd session that we have yet to play. So I was really sensitive. It's like, okay, we gotta keep things moving. And I was a little worried that I was railroading a bit too much, but also like I as somebody who's in the previously played a lot of 5e, like I didn't have knowledge checks and notice checks to kind of like dollop out some of like the player knowledge. So I felt like I had to just talk about poo for about 10 minutes one time. So, but what did you feel like I was just like, and now you go here because that's where the story is, or did you feel like you were on to a mystery that you were solving and engaging with it kind of with some level of agency?
The only time I felt that way,
question than a Monstrous question.
The only time I felt that way was the time I already mentioned, and you should do that in a 1-shot with a party. Like, you should never, like what I did with y'all when we played was, oh, let's go to the place and establish that you're already there, and then we'll flash backwards. That's me totally saying you no longer have agency to go to that place. We've established you're there. We're headed that direction, right? It's just really me front loading that. And if you don't do that, at some point you have to go to the party and be like, this is the dungeon and the adventure
Yeah, yeah.
you're on. But that's a good thing to do to prompt the players, because otherwise I would have been like, I stay back, like, because my character was being an asshole intentionally. So like that, but and I think that's a totally appropriate moment too. But I don't know if anybody else, like, I didn't feel that way. I thought it was great, good pacing.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think like normally we would start stranded in this cave and the avalanche would come down and the only way to get out would be to go through the cave. But then you would miss all of the cool rumors and getting, having us care about some of these NPCs and stuff at the beginning. So like not having the beginning part where we're getting to the dungeon, I think we would have lost a lot too. So and yeah, for a one shot you kind of like, oh yeah, we're gonna go, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do the thing, so like let's go.
This is what I have prepped.
Yeah. I mean,
we're not doing something else.
Yeah.
And chat, go ahead and let us know why you think Kyle's a horrible railroading GM right
Please
now.
Please do.
In the messages. Elodie, Kenny, did y'all hate anything Kyle did?
I have a thought, but I don't want to step on Elodie's toes.
I was just gonna say, like, whenever you were like describing our characters doing things, it was more like an idea, and it was a really cool idea that added on to like the ideas that I'd already had. So like that really worked with my character and the story that we ended up crafting together. So I thought it was really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. That and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Yeah, I'm really happy that you really brought it with just the weirdness of the Sky Shepherds. That was so cool.
What do you think Sister Penitence's core is, Kenny and Kyle? If Sister Penitence became a monster eventually? What core would she have?
I mean, to go to the Lord of Bones, J.P. Coover's side of things, a skeleton seems pretty logical.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away like what our version of the skeleton is, but I think it would play actually really well.
I would have said a brute, actually. I think brutes are probably my favorite core. They're like the most versatile, but you get like these things get these extraordinary powers through these pacts, but then something goes wrong and it gets twisted. And so like you have this kind of like weird you have these phenomenal powers, but you also are kind of like locked into this doom that you have to do this thing that you agreed to do, and now the deal is altered and you've outlived your context, and now perhaps you were once a great hero, but now you are another one of these ghost stories that you used to help fight against. That's what I see for the future of Sister Penitence.
Definitely. That's actually a great call, because if your job is to shepherd souls into heaven, that's a very easy thing to twist into something horrific.
Because I also am obsessed with players being one step away from becoming monsters themselves, and sometimes less than one step. Not that I think Sister Penitence was. I think was just the easy. No. Like my character was just an asshole. They didn't broker on anything near. Mine was just a mob. I'm just a mob core. That's it. Awesome. Evil DM Josh says, so horrible you should be able to accommodate everything in 2 hours and still have time for multiple encounters. Learn time control, Kyle. And so but yeah, no, this is a blast. What is coming in the campaign? Obviously, you're still working towards funding. You're a little under halfway there right now. Mm-hmm. If folks haven't backed it, please do. If you have already backed it, consider sharing. Consider letting people know how excited you are about the project. If you can't back, consider sharing, because not everybody can, and that's fine. But if you can't support a project directly, the best thing you can do is help get the word out about it. But what can we expect coming forward from the campaign?
Well, we actually have like stuff planned. So Kenny and I are launching a podcast that's talking about all this stuff. So what we're doing, we've made this podcast out of trading voicemail messages where we're talking about like all these different ideas that we're having for Monstrous. We just recorded one about why spiders should talk in in RPGs, which is a firmly held belief that I have, and Kenny needed some convincing. But so that's been really fun. So we have lots of posts. We have some videos and just like fun, just like process stuff. It's just like for the folks who are already following and the folks who are already backing, I feel like we're giving them some really juicy stuff to tie them over while we finish up the book and send it off to the printer.
Awesome.
Lots of snippets from the book. There's going to be more stuff from me about developing Monstrous and talking more about our takes on classic monsters and how we subverted them and how we just the interesting directions we went with them and how we arrived at these decisions. I'm super excited. I think a bit later we're going to be talking about Outsiders, which are my favorite monsters from the book.
Ooh.
And it was such a fun process for me.
And the Outsiders would be like our big cosmic horror monsters, and we lots of fantasy games will put Cthulhu and cosmic horror monsters in their game, but they run just like every other monster. They don't evoke the themes of cosmic horror, and they have the same hit points, they have the same combat abilities. So we really did a lot of thinking on how to make these things feel wrong in your game.
Love it. Awesome. I am super excited. I want people to go up and do it. We're going to come back in just 1 second, and Kyle's going to give us a cut scene at the end that reveals the NPC the moment everything is unmasked. But coming up soon, tomorrow actually at noon Eastern, we are playing a Karen session with Run DMG from over on TikTok, Mystery on Big Rock Candy Mountain. Super excited to play that. And then if you have not yet, head on over to rpgzine.club and sign up for a zine club, or to get notified when the zine club release happens next week. This is going to be a huge focus for us going forward. Every month we're going to release 2 different zines, one story flavored, one adventure flavored. We've got some other cool stuff in the works with our friends over at Possum Creek for some designer focused content in the future, along with other releases. But the big focus is this lets us invest really intentionally in emerging and expanding creators within the RPG space, help them get their products out there, help get you exposed to them, and help curate a list of top-notch games that are coming out that we will send straight to you every month, every other month, however often you want. You can pause, whatever, but we just want to see people join the club so that we can be talking about them, playing them together, and celebrating them as a community when they come out. Kyle Latino from the Map Group show says, more voices making more zines, the best thing I've heard about from TTRPG since the announcement of Zine Month. I can't wait to find out who my new favorite zinesters are going to be. So it's a real quote that Kyle sent me in Discord the other day. And so, but if you want to find out more about that, head over there. But before you do that, head over to ttrpg.link/monstrousks. Back the project, share the project, explore it a little bit more. Like they mentioned, there's samples and snippets on there. So if you want to see how some of this stuff works, please go do that. Kyle, why don't you, before we wave at the screen, why don't you take us out with a cutscene of a reveal?
And I think as our troubled crew come back from this haunting scene, and they probably poured through all the boxes of belongings that belong to this other caravan, all of the preserved foodstuffs, and even the bits of the iron cauldron just turn to ash and dust in their hands. And as they make their way past the slain cave bears and back into the chamber where they left the rest of the caravan, they just see a giant whistling hole that was dug out of the snow and hail that had caved them in here, and just the body of Benjamin Bagger is convulsing and thinning out, and this giant of a man is now this desiccated, gaunt figure that is twitching, and all of these black blisters from the wounds and frostbite around the wounds that our dear Ham Duckfoot treated are now spreading and taking over the rest of the skin around. And there is more. You cannot tell if it is the whistling of the wind, the howling, scraping wind in this makeshift opening that was hastily dug through through the snow, or if it is more of the same from more of these things in the mountain. And that's where we'll leave it.
Awesome. This has been Down We Go, played with Monstrous Prep. We don't have a good way to end this show. And I mean, we do. We just did an excellent way to end this show. But normally we don't. And
Well,
at this point, we're not
sorry.
interested in trying. So until next time, we're just going to wave at the camera until I take us offline. Bye, everybody.